Testing 1, 2, 3.
Test. Testing. Is it going out? Sounds like it's going out. Okay.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing. Jeez. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing 1. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. 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 Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing.
Welcome, everybody, to our Friday night meeting. Glad to see some more people here, more than we normally get for a B. Welcome. You get to experience for the first time something new we're doing. So I always have to ask if there's any new people. Totally new the first time? Welcome. First competitor? Good. So just our normal Friday night meetings and things that are going on. We've got Roger Mastriani coming next week in person. Amazing images that he does of Cleveland as a corporate and an editorial photographer. And then we have a people competition. And of course, whenever we have competition, except for B, it's also pictorial. So it's people in pictorial projection. The deadline for that is October 8th. And then Back to the Wild, I can't give you the exact number, but I'll tell you it's pretty close to being sold out. So if you want to go to Back to the Wild, it's one of our most popular places to go to. And we have this Capture On is really a unique opportunity. We have a lot of slots left for this. It's a place to go and see what actually happens if you send images in to be commercially printed. He's a professional commercial printer, does excellent work. Several of our club members use them. They're really known for good stuff. All right, you guys ready? I made the announcement short because I'm expecting maybe some questions here. I've been promising the swap meet details for a long time, and here are the details. So it's November 8th from 10 in the morning to 4 here at our facilities. And here's the particulars. Only CPS members can have a cell table. We're not going to open it up, even if we don't sell out tables, which I think we're going to. Only CPS members are going to be able to sell. It's going to be promoted through others like our social media and some other places to get buyers in. So I expect there'll be a lot of traffic going through. Here's the one people are waiting for. You want to pay $50 for a table or $100? How about free? So the tables are free. Here's the thing. The tables are 8-footers, and so our apparel here is sitting on an 8-foot table. It's 8 feet long and 30 inches wide. We are offering, forgive me if I say sell, they're not being sold, you're registering for a table. We're going registration for either a full table or a half table. And I please, and this is it's on our website already, if you don't have a lot of stuff, consider a half table. Because you can fit a lot of stuff there, and there's room underneath the table. Because I'm pretty sure we're going to sell out of tables, and I wouldn't want anybody not to be able to get in because somebody took a full table and they had, 2 camera bags and a tripod or something. So consider a half table if you really don't have a lot of stuff. You can only register through the website. It is live now. We have already had 2 people register tables, and they're going to go fast, I think. So you can, through the website, a homepage, there's a link, and there's also a link on the calendar. Only photographic related items, please. Don't bring your Matchbox set of cars or whatever you had that you think you're going to sell. The setup time for those who are selling is at 9 o'clock. The doors will open to the public at 10 o'clock. And this is the important thing. All the transactions are just strictly between the seller and the buyer. CPS is only a venue. That's all the involvement. We're just offering a place for the members. It's one of those deals where these are one of the perks you get for being a member that we don't always think about when we tell people why you want to be a member. We're going to have a table and sell some printers. We just fired one up. These are printers that were left over from the homeless stand down. We realized we're probably not going to be using them again. So there are going to be some printers for sale. We still have apparel and so forth. Our table will be cash only. You might want to consider, if you're buying from somebody else, have a lot of cash in your pocket, because personally, if I was selling, I don't know if I want to check. So CPS people, no, never mind. So it's up to them. If somebody wants to do Venmo or all the other things that you can do, that's strictly between the seller and the buyer. And most importantly, CPS is assuming no liability for this. And there's going to be a statement that you'll see coming in the door that's probably longer than I want to try to read, that we're not going to assume any liability, just like the field trips. So, having said all that, does anybody have any questions of anything I didn't cover? I mean, we had a committee, just thank you for all the people that were on the committee that helped put all this stuff together and decide how we should run it. Okay, if we have nothing else, we're going to do our bee competition now, and you guys are in for a treat because we're going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to hand it off to Marge.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marge Brady. I'm the chairperson of the bee competition. Thanks to all who are competing for the first time, and thank you all for your entries. We had a tremendous turnout. We have 52 entries altogether, which is the most I've seen in the last couple years that I've been the chairwoman or chairperson. We have 3 judges, and just to make it clear, you're not being judged against each other. The judges look at each picture for composition, technique, and impact, and they can give between 1 and 3 points for each of those 3 categories. So a perfect score would be 9 points from a judge. So, it's not like there's she gets first place, he gets second place, and third place. It just depends on how the judge scores your photos. I also wanted to mention that Chris was talking about upcoming competitions. You can only compete in either regular or B. You can't compete in both. So if you're entering B competitions, you can't enter the regular competitions. So I hope everybody's clear on that, because last year we had some confusion and we had people entering both types of competitions. So we have 3 judges, and I'm going to let Bill and Richard introduce themselves. Stop rolling your eyes. Our 3rd judge is Jackie Sayeski, and she is a longtime CPS member. She is a fabulous photographer whose photos have won Photos of the Year many, many times, and I'll be reading her comments tonight. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, we're doing something new tonight. Instead of just reading comments and giving a score, as we're reading comments, Richard is going to edit the picture according to the judge's comments, because we thought that would be a great learning for you. So take it away.
Okay, Bill, did you want to introduce yourself? Just
Hi, all. My name is Bill Keaton. I've been a CPS member for 12 to 14 years. I'm a past chairman of the competitions. I'm a board member, and I was a high school yearbook photographer, and it's been taking pictures ever since. So that's been a few years.
Okay, hi, I'm Richard Ader, do drums and vocals, and I will be handling the video tonight, also a CPS member. So we have 52 images. We're going to try this. If we start to go behind time, we might just start to just read the comments like we do normally rather than the editing. But we thought this would be a great learning experience. So let's get started with our first image. Okay.
Okay, I'm up first. I like the colors in this. It definitely has a fall color feel. I think it is a little overexposed, so you might want to try toning it down a bit. The use of the tree and that arching limb frame it very well. I think it could be improved by cropping in from the right, and Richard can't see the laser pointer, but if you crop in from the right, up to, keep going, a little, right there. Almost make this a square. I think it has more impact that way. One other little thing to think about, the only thing in focus in this photograph is the person, and you're looking at the backside of them. So you might want to play with your apertures and try to have a little bit more in focus of the actual scene itself.
Okay, you want to read?
Okay, that's entitled A Moment Captured by Todd Irvin, 20 points. Okay, Jackie says, the black and the black and white treatment enhances the timeless, almost gothic mood. It feels evocative, mysterious, and cinematic. The expression and posture of the subject match this mood, which strengthens the overall emotional feel. The bend to her right arm and hand and neck softens her look. The design of her sleeves can make posing difficult. You found the perfect solution with her right arm. But with her left arm at the side, that sleeve just hides her hand. To improve this, try having your subject bring that arm up so the sleeve drapes but still reveals her hand. You might push the contrast a touch more, especially between the subject and the stone wall, to heighten drama. Overall, this is a lovely capture with location and subject perfectly suited. And that's entitled A Moment in Time by Maria, I'm not sure if it's Perme or Perm? Perme. 24 points, third place.
Good. Okay. This picture, I really, really liked it. I like the mist, that the ones in the distance are a mist, in the mist. Technically, this is excellent. I like the subject matter. Here's where we get into composition. These three out front are the ones that are standing out most. But this one on the left is really just too close to the edge. And I have extra space here I'm not using. If I could have a little more space on the left, that would do it. And I think the key is this is something when you're taking the picture, you could think of and just actually move the camera a bit to the left. To see what that looks like, I will just see if we can give it a little more to the left. And there we, let me just also come in. Oh, I'll keep that. And then maybe some on the right here, just come in a little. So now, I think that just gives it more impact. When something is too close, one of your main subjects is too close to the edge, like this was, that could just be a little off. So, but I think this was a really well-recognized picture, well done technically, just that little bit of composition.
And the title is Amish Hay by Joseph Yatsko, 22 points, honorable mention.
Okay. Nice job of getting the butterfly in focus. That's obviously the subject of this. The lighting is a little harsh. Looks like it might have been midday sun, but you were able to use that harsh lighting to keep the background dark, which is a plus. I guess you're going to hear this a lot from me. This would needs cropping. Eliminate the two flowers on the right because they don't do anything, and the one on the edge is really distracting. So bring it in to the right, come into the left a little bit, keep going, go, stop. And that little bit of blue on the bottom doesn't need to be there, and because it's so different, there we go. It attracts your attention. So crop that out, and that's the way I would present the photo. Again, nice job on keeping the sharpness on the butterfly.
And that's entitled Butterfly by Kay Eiler, 22 points, honorable mention.
And I hope you could see with these that this little bit of change, you recognize the picture, you got it, all these things are good, but where this little bit of post-processing just kind of helps and brings it to that next level there as well. Okay, let's go on to the.
And Jackie said, oops. And Jackie says, this industrial scene, muted palette, and heavy smoke plumes create a strong sense of bleakness. The tracks are the strongest compositional element, pulling the viewer's eye from foreground to background. This creates depth and perspective very effectively. Diagonal lines compositionally are great for directing us through your image. The haze naturally lowers clarity, but that matches the mood, and the image appears sharp where needed. The image appears bottom heavy. Your sky is moody and adds to your image up to the smoke. I would crop the top of the image just above the smoke plume. This will create balance. Something else that might increase the impact would be to bring out contrast between smoke and clouds. I think this image would work well cropped in a square.
Okay, let's see if we could just do something with that contrast in the sky. And we're just gonna. So there are minor things you could do. And I think what she was saying is it just brings out the smoke more and a little bit of the clouds. If I go back and forth there, yeah, there, just kind of accentuates the clouds a little. But the cropping, so you could see that could make this just is beautiful the way it's vanishing to the right. And all we did was just crop down just a little, just to make it a square. So really nice.
Okay, the title of this is Cleveland Industry by Joseph Yatsko, 21 points.
And I'm going to take a moment, you two, to interject here. I understand you are all beginners. Richard is showing things that you may not know how to do.
Correct.
And for that, we're just trying to let you know there are other things you can learn to help edit your photograph. So if you're saying to yourself, geez, I don't know how to do that. Well, we do understand that. We understand this is a beginner's competition, but we're just trying to show you. And maybe after the beginner's class, you want to take a Lightroom or a Photoshop class, and you'll be able to do some of this stuff. But yes, we understand you may not know how to do this.
Right. And what we're also showing is that one thing, like with the haystack, it's just in composition. Sometimes just moving the way you're standing or moving the camera a little can make all the difference in a picture too. But sometimes the camera is as good as it is just not able to get everything. And in that case, we're hoping to show you a little post-processing is, and we have these introductory classes too, but it really helps bring the pictures out. So I agree with Bill completely. So let's go now to this picture. This is difficult. This is done, I think, through glass. So you see the reflections all over. And actually, I like the reflections. The reflections give it a dreamy kind of thing too. So when you're talking about, well, maybe not having it through glass, I like that. The problem is, you'll hear over and over, is our eyes tend to go to the brightest thing. And we have this big, just white area here. And our eyes just go there. So if there's a way for you to turn the camera or something or not get that in, fine. If there's nothing else you could do, we do. And I'm not making, again, as Bill says, we're not here to teach you photo editing, but a lot of times you'll see a picture like this and the reflections are nice, but there's nothing you could do. You might be able to move something, but if you can't, and that's the way it is, there is still a way. And let's see what this does, if anything, just to see you there. And now if we just, so we don't, because a lot of that glass to the left wasn't really doing anything, adding to the picture. So here now, I really, really like this. You get that unusual dreamy, almost like clouds in front of the dog, or putting a filter there by having the glass there, and you don't have that white thing to distract you. So I think this was a good idea. That white thing was the only problem there.
And this is Corgi Photo by Daniel Conrad, 20 points.
Okay. I really like the blue of the ice. If anybody's ever seen glacial ice or icebergs, the blue is just amazing. Not everybody gets a chance to see that, but I like the blue against the dark mountains. I don't know why you cut the iceberg off on the left. I mean, your eye goes to that light area and it just stops by the edge of the photograph. So that's a little troubling. Okay, Rich is going to try to work some more magic here.
Oh, just to show you the difference of what if you're, and you get,
See, now,
doesn't
now we got
always-
more iceberg that's still cut off though. So I wasn't there, but
Yeah.
if there's a way to have a tapered or see the end of the iceberg, that would be good. Again, you're going to hear cropping a lot. You don't need that much sky. This would benefit from being a panorama by coming way down,
down.
right to there. And now you've got the mountains in the background still. You show the ice, a little bit of ice on the right. I just think it flows better this way. Again, next time, if you can show the glacier, try to do that. And if you know how to increase saturation, you could increase the saturation in this a little bit. And the only thing that would probably be affected would be the blue in the glacial ice. I'm not saying go overboard, but you can actually make the blue a little bit brighter and come out. And again, I think that's what you're trying to show anyway. So show it off a little bit of artist, what am I trying to come up with? Just, yeah, use your imagination and make it look like you want it to look.
but but I agree with Bill. This is the second time that's come up, and it's very, very common. Here's our original again. This ice is the main thing, and you see how it comes right up to the left, as Bill said. Just this doesn't leave much there at all, but yet it's a major part of the picture. So giving it a little room there, and this you could have done with just moving over like that.
And can I just add that whenever you have a photo that's got a white, bland, blah sky in it, you want to see as little of it as possible. So the way that Richard had it cropped was a lot more impactful
At Bill's suggestion.
at Bill's suggestion.
Yes, that's not mine.
Right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But that makes just in cropping, I agree. That sky was just all white. Now, so just suggestion. And by the way, some of the things we give you, when we say this crop or something looks better, this is an artistic decision. You might not agree at all. You might like it the original way, and that's fine too. A lot of this is just what you think looks best. We're just giving suggestions.
And this is entitled Iceberg by Daniel Conrad, 20 points. And Jackie says, wow, the photograph has striking visual drama. The sheer scale of the snow-covered peaks towering over the small plain and cabin is an important element. You handled the exposure beautifully, keeping details in the whites and not blocking up your shadows in the dark rocky cliffs. I love the strong color contrast with the beautiful blue sky and the red plain. You handled the colors very realistically. To strengthen this image, I would suggest playing with the crop. Your composition is very good, but perhaps cropping some of the bottom of the photo, creating more of a panoramic, might make the composition even more dramatic.
Again, these are all just suggestions. Yeah.
And this is entitled Destination Denali by Angela McMahon, 22 points, honorable mention.
Okay. Nice capture. I struggled with this one. This was two things that make this hard. This is a nice, the whales are swimming away from us. And I know as a street photographer, judges tell me all the time, oh, if only that, no, the whales were swimming away. You can't go and ask them to swim towards you. So yeah, this is what you get. The problem is even though this is excellently done, it's centered, which seems to work here, but there's not a lot of, as I looked at this, the whales are a color and the blue in the in the back. I tried playing with the crop. One of the things I thought of is just making this a black and white and going more for the shapes, because the blue was just distracting from these. Maybe put these so they were in the little rule of thirds, and I don't know. I just went, it was hard to really do that. It's a good picture, but I struggled with the blue. It was more the shapes that attracted me. And I was just trying to get some of the blue out. So maybe in black and white like that, but otherwise, good picture.
And this is Family Bonds by Angela McMahon, 21 points.
This is a cool capture. There's no doubt. I really like this. It's unfortunate to have the bird in the background so prominent, but if you're in nature doing pictures, you don't get to choose your backgrounds very often. If you know how to burn and dodge, I would darken the out of focus bird in the background slightly, and that will add more depth to the photo and help isolate your subject, the two in focus birds in the foreground.
I'm not sure what we could do or recognize, but let's see if I could take the background and just, as Bill said,
There, not even that far back.
okay,
Right there. That's about right.
okay, so yeah, there's before, and as Bill said,
You see how that adds some depth to the photo? And now your eyes go to the lightest part, which is your two subject birds.
right, so just little things like that. And you could also, if we try to blur the background, let's see if it does this. Let's see if it recognizes. Okay, we might get away. So watch our background now, and I'm going to try to just blur the background some more.
Is this Lightroom that you're using?
It's either one. I'm using Camera Raw, which is in Lightroom and Photoshop.
Okay.
But you could see, as Bill said, you can't move the bird in the back. This is what you get. So if you could darken it, maybe give a little blur, now these two really jump out at you.
What about going down a little bit on the highlights to make the
Okay,
bird's
coming
feathers
down on the
stand out?
highlights. Let's see. Yeah. There. So that's, we look at the bird's neck, we've come down just so we bring out that. So these are just little tweaks. So again, the person doing this recognized a really good picture, got it just right. They're in focus. And so what we're talking about here are the things that you really couldn't control.
Okay, this is entitled Flamingo's Kiss by Melissa Fargo, 25 points, second place.
All right.
Okay, so Jackie says, there's a bittersweet feeling of beauty against ruin. The broken shutters and worn wood suggest abandonment, while the glowing sky adds hope or renewal. Your subject is strong in geometric shapes. They help to add interest. Isolating the single roof and the peaked gable section takes an artistic eye. This is a great example of an image that everything included is important to telling the story, and there is nothing added that doesn't support it. The small crescent moon adds a poetic touch, although it's easy to miss. I had to study it a bit to make sure it wasn't something on my monitor or a dust spot in your image. Maybe adding a tad of brightness to the moon might help. This would be a wonderful location to stop during changing moon phases. The only other suggestion I can offer might be to clone out the spindle peak on the far side of the dormer. If there was one nitpicky thing to mention, I guess that would be it.
Okay, now, this is a beautiful picture. Two things. That's the moon. Are you kidding me? I thought that was a dust spot. That's okay. That came out small there. But what is she talking about with the, which one does she want cloned out? Or?
The spindle peak on the far side of the dormer. Oh, that little
You mean this
thing.
one? I was going to say, right, the one that's not symmetric, that little thing just in the back. And that, let me just make my brush smaller. This little thing there. It's funny, I was going to get rid of the moon. Before I realized it was no. There you go.
And she also says there is that loose rope dangling from the structure, but I think that actually adds to the feeling of decay. Really wonderful
there.
image.
Yep, very nice. So that's, let's see, just getting rid of that little tiny thing was just adding some more symmetry there.
Okay, and the title is, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right, Forgotten Cupola by Gail Graves, 26 points, first place.
Very. Very nice. I struggled with this. The problem is, in this, is that what is your subject? I mean, your eyes, there's just a lot. If there weren't these blue flowers up here, if this was just all the reds, you might have, this is a pattern, but we have a lot of green down here and the purple. So it just is, you know, it's very, very difficult. So as I looked at this, what stands out to me is this one in the middle, right there. And if in some way I could isolate that, but unlike the other things we saw, there's just a ton of stuff in back. So I played with this, and one of the things I tried is just like a little vignette. If I could just, where's my, down, invert it. If I could just darken the things, let me get rid of that. Yeah. But you see, you want to do this subtly. Let me feather this more.
What about cropping it down and just vignetting
Yeah, that's the other I was
edges?
going to do next is let me just do the vignette a little.
There's that white at the top
And
upper
let
left
me just
that
subtract.
just kind
wait
of
a
takes your
second.
eye out of the picture.
Okay. Now what were you saying? The cropping
Crop it down and then vignette it.
cropping it down a little more. So it gets rid of there. We're still keeping that and maybe some of that purple out.
Yeah.
There, we bring this in from this side. And now, especially with that vignette, we've taken out some of the distracting things. And even though this is just a bunch, it's kind of highlighting that. So this is just, you know, seat of the pants kind of work too. But you could see here where there's just a lot and it's busy, your eye doesn't know what to go to. At least here we could go back and I could actually come back a little on that mask so it's not as much. So these are things that are difficult. So I think it was a good idea, but it was just in the beginning. If I go back to the original now here, which is reset to default. And you can see between the purple up there and the green there, it just was very busy. But I think again, with the, as Marge said, the cropping in and the vignette, you could bring that out though. So it was a good idea. Bill, you were saying something? You weren't going to say, okay.
What about, because flowers are my thing, what about if you cropped in even more to make that middle flower prominent, put a dark
Okay,
vignette
coming
around it?
down, how much is this?
And in from the sides too.
Okay, and sorry, tell me when.
Okay, oh, yep.
Okay, and tell me.
And then crop a little bit off the bottom.
Okay, like that?
Yeah, and then put a
Okay.
darker vignette around the
Okay,
edges.
Then let's vignette the edges. Brush. Okay. Feather. And I'll back off on some of this.
And then brighten up the flower in the middle, if you can do that.
Brighten up the flower.
Mm-hmm.
Just lighten it up. Okay. Brush.
A little bit brighter than that.
A little bit brighter
Just
than
a
that?
little bit.
Okay. Let me try coming up on the whites. So you actually want it a little brighter. Like that?
Yeah, just to try to guide the viewer's eyes right to that middle flower.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it really helps that much, but I think that's what I would do.
Let me try the sat up on that flower. There, I'll bring the sat. But you're right. And then you could play with your vignette a little, but same thing is, you're right. In a busy picture, trying to bring your eye to that main subject. So this is just seat of the pants thing. Okay. You want to give it?
Okay, and this is entitled Glorious by Maria Perme, 24 points, third place.
Very good.
A nice scenic. I do like the way you use the steps coming from the edges to lead the eye into the middle of the photo. A lot of times you can get lost and that stuff leads you out. This leads you right to the center, which I like a lot. If you know how to dodge and burn again, you have a couple hot spots in the middle of the photograph around those rocks. I would tone those down, and you get a feeling of the trees, but you don't really need that much. In the sky on the upper part is a little distracting because it's a different color. So crop down about a third of the way into the trees. Keep going about right there. Not quite a square. And I think that would improve your photo.
Okay, see, but this is, and what Bill was saying too, is your camera did a perfect exposure. You did everything right taking this picture, but there's a lot of darks and lights. So the camera just has to make one exposure. And what happens is those rocks and everything with sunlight on them just get really bright. Your eyes are kind of drawn to it. So all we did is we just toned it down a little so you could see the rocks and the trees there. Oops, let me come off that. Okay. Okay, Mom.
Okay, this is entitled Hemlock Trail by Ann Williams, 20 points. Oh. And Jackie says, the image captures a beautiful, almost secretive moment. The deer blends with its surroundings so well that spotting it feels like a reward. While the leaves and stems add to the sense of camouflage, a few branches obscure part of the deer's face. I find that a slight distraction, especially the grass impeding us from seeing his right eye. When photographing in nature, getting that perfect composition is tricky. I feel the large, dark out of focus area viewer left might have been avoided by changing the camera angle slightly or perhaps tighter on that side. Perhaps stopping down your aperture, getting more focus from front to back might have helped to create a bit more depth. You did a good job handling your exposures and rendering all those greens. Sometimes in processing, greens can be difficult to get good natural colors. You were very successful rendering a natural, almost documentarily styled image. When I see deer like this, it always makes me pause, thinking that their environment is shrinking so that we can build more homes. I almost feel a sadness or empathy for this little one.
Let me add on this is my 1 cent instead of 2 cents here. In photography, same as in life, life gives you, or the scene gives you lemons, you could make some lemonade. So in this, again, you can't move over, you move to get those branches, or you go to move those branches away from the deer's gone. You move, the deer's gone. This is the shot you get. That deer is out of there then too. But Jackie's right, everything's just in front. You can't really do anything about that. So if I were to look at this and really like it, but that was the only shot I could get, is the stuff on the left and the right is not really adding to the picture. And sometimes when I try to just get a picture back is, let's just go right for the deer's head. In other words, make this come down, bring that, and then let me see. I haven't tried this. I'm really gonna, so I can't guarantee anything here. This big branch that's dark going down was just, and I have no idea on these, because with AI, each time you get a different result, so you have no idea whether it's gonna do something. But there, let's see, it gives you 3 choices. It's 1, 2. Okay, not bad. But what you have there is, so that things tend to distract you. There, that one, maybe that isn't that bad, but there it's out. We've taken that, we've taken the distracting things, and now we're much more close to the face, so that all those distracting things out with just the face, even with those branches there, the face more jumps out at you. So that's just my kind of 1 cent in there.
And a little commercial, if you take CPS's Lightroom or Photoshop class, you too will learn to do these magical things.
Oh, and of course, let me just try. It's always worth trying.
Oh, now he's going to get really fancy.
Not even fancy, but just and you could learn to do these real fast. But that vignetting, when you have something busy, oops, made my mistake there. Let me just invert this. Invert mask. Just subtly. Sometimes, again, here it is, before, afterwards, and just play with that. Anything you could do to bring that into the main viewing area. Okay.
Okay, this is entitled In the Wilds by Todd Irvin, 19 points.
Okay. And here is our original again. There we go. So you see, sometimes when you look at a picture, and again, that's the way, there was no angle or something you could have done any better, but in a picture, sometimes there's a lot of just extraneous material that takes away from the subject. So in cropping, that's why you're hearing cropping so much. It just gets rid of some of that. Okay. Let's go now. Okay. This is an interesting picture. It's really technically done well. I really like this. In focus. You see starburst effect down here on the lights. So everything is done well. There's only one thing that bothers me on this, and that is, again, to think when you're taking the picture in terms of getting it in, is the reflection is cut off. The terminal tower with the beautiful, it's cut off. It goes to the edge. So if you could have just zoomed out, if it's a zoom lens, zoom out a little more to give you some space there. Let me see. I have not tried this, have no idea. But just to give you an idea what it might look like is, I'm asking it to do a lot because that's the bottom of a building there, but let's see. Oh, there we go. Let me try. Number 2 looks good. It gives you the idea now that this is a more complete, there's symmetry here. You have the rock hall, the beautiful shadow. You have, the Society building, not Terminal Tower, and its reflection. And so that could sometimes make all the difference, because otherwise I think this is a really nice picture. But if I go back again to our original, whoops, let me just reset to default. There we go. You could see now the cutting off of those, it's just artistically just a little bit of a problem. But otherwise, technically perfect picture.
And this is entitled Inner Harbor by Gail Graves, 22 points, honorable mention.
You good? Okay.
Nice job on focusing on the insect. I mean, that is tack sharp. And because the depth of field slowly fades, it gives it an almost a 3D look. But as you've heard many times, it needs cropping. Crop halfway between the flower and the lower right.
Which
Which
side
is-
do you want me to?
We're going to start on the right.
The right side? Okay.
Crop out that flower, keep going a little bit more right to there. And then the top, crop down from the top until you get rid of that. There you go, about right there. Now, if you do that, you have almost a feeling of,
Oh,
rule of thirds feel. The only thing in focus that's sharp focus is the bug, and it gives it a three-dimensional effect. You get rid of some of the stuff on the background you don't need. I would suggest as a beginner, an exercise when you have a picture like this, crop a little bit, take a look at it. Then crop a little bit more, take a look at it again. When you crop something and you don't like the photo, go back, and that's probably where you should stop because you've gotten rid of all the extraneous stuff and you've concentrated on the subject. That's a good exercise for even advanced photographers, just to crop a little bit at a time until you get a feel for what should be there and what should not.
I agree. You could see this is almost like a whole different picture. It's pleasing to the eye. Yeah, Marge.
Yeah, what bothers me is that dark spot on the lower flower. If you can get rid of that, I like my flowers to look perfect.
Marge is our flower person. So when Marge tells me the bug was eating there, that's dinner. That
Well, yeah, I suppose that's true.
adds to the story.
It's a bite out of the flower, I guess.
Let's see. We are going to.
And that black spot on the top flower. And is there any way you can lighten the bug up a little bit?
Lighten the bug.
A little bit?
That's my specialty. Is we will. Okay, you want him lightened?
Just a little bit. So he looks a little more prominent.
Let me bring up the whites.
Yeah, I can see him a little better.
Okay. So these are all just little things, but again, it's almost like a work of art now. Before, so the way I look at my pictures when I take them is think of them as raw material. This is art we're making. Photojournalism is different. You don't change it, but here you had a vision there. You couldn't help that this poor bug chewed that part of the flower. But if you'd like this better, that's fine. By the way, if you like it the original way, that's fine too. So here is our original.
Yeah, my eye just kept going to that hole in the
the hole
in the petal.
Yeah. Okay.
I really like the out of focus background. It's very
Mhm.
painterly looking.
Okay.
Okay, and this is It's a Bug's Life by Kimberly Christopher, 22 points, honorable mention.
Very good.
Okay, and Jackie says, springtime at Wade Oval, how picturesque can you get? The use of trees on both sides creates a natural frame that leads the viewer across the pond into the art museum in the distance. This symmetry anchors the scene nicely. Well handled with bright highlights, but no harsh overexposure, which is often tricky in midday sun. The whites of the building and blossoms retain detail. Consider toning down saturation slightly. The heaviness of the tree on the viewer's right might be better balanced with a slight crop. That's tricky because you do have that wonderful free-flowing curve at the water's edge. Your reflections are wonderful and really emphasize the serene tranquility of the day. I like the fact that there are people strolling around enjoying this lovely location. Very nice play with creating a panoramic and creating an image that is more unique.
Yeah, I agree. The panoramic, we talk about crops. Here's one where they made it panoramic. And that really just, adds to it. The one thing I would add on this picture, which is now that I mentioned it, you're going to start thinking in terms of this. The tree on the right is cut off, but that doesn't matter because it's only a small part of the tree we're seeing. And so you don't get a feeling that there's something missing. But the tree on the left, you have the whole tree there except for a tiny bit there. And then once you see that, you can't unsee it, like it's kind of there. So to bring the symmetry to the picture, again, while you're framing it, consider stepping back, or if you have a zoom lens, zooming out a little so you get some of that over there. And to give you, again, just an idea what that looks like. There's no guarantee on when we're asking it to do these kind of things, but just to give you a visual sensation there, and that gives you there. But it's almost now, if you're going to not have the tree on the left, don't have it. If you're going to crop it down the middle, maybe, that's fine too, but just a little bit off, and you notice that it's a little bit off. So I'm not saying you have to have the whole thing, and I'm not saying like the tree on the right, you can't crop it in half or crop it a lot, but just leaving a little bit off, and the eye tends to notice. So that's okay. That's the original.
And this is entitled Lagoon Spring Forth by Gloria Mercado, 20 points.
Here, I had this one and I struggled with this. I had a problem because when we get the pictures or when you show someone, we don't have captions. So if there was an explanation to any of these or whatnot, we would know. So I was trying to determine, the first thing, it's very busy and you're trying to determine subject matter. It looks like an old car museum of some type, either in some type of a mirror, whether that's a mirror of the car. I just wasn't sure what I was supposed to look like. And then it's hard because it's kind of busy in the background. I was going to say, after I saw, sometimes you don't notice something, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I couldn't help but thinking each time that someone was giving me the middle finger in the left upper left. And then once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it there too. I'm sure the person was just holding whatever it was up there or the camera or whatnot too. But it is a distracting element. I might try tone, at the outer parts, which don't offer anything. And let me just try putting a slight vignette on these areas that are just there to bring it. And let's see if I see what if I do before and after. It's not a cure-all, but you notice it's taken out some of the distractions. And at least we're looking more at this. The other thing that was just a bit distracting to me was this is very close cropped. We're right up to the edge on this. We're right up to the edge. So this thing is taking the whole field top to bottom. So it was kind of difficult from what the subject matter is, how busy it was. So I think you have to decide what you want to do. Yeah, is the maker of this picture? Yeah. Hey, okay, what is it? Is it like a museum, old car museum, or? Restored mid-30s police car. Oh, so what we're looking at, you're saying, and I'm repeating this for the people at home. Wait, what we're looking at here is this a mirror we're looking at? Oh, so this is a chrome plate that's over a gun port on this restored thing. And so the chrome is reflecting like, you're looking at that. Wow. Okay, that was. Yes. It was just, I would try maybe coming back, like I said, because it's right up towards the edge. And I know that's not a middle finger, but I just, that's, wow. Canton, okay.
And this is entitled Mirror into the Past by David Williams, 20 points.
This could be an interesting, lonely scene, kind of brooding, a kind of photo that normally I really like. And it was nice of the photographer to recognize that. But the technical issues are getting in the way a little bit. The left third of the photo is dark trees with no detail, and that's rather bland sand. So I would crop in a lot and get rid of the left third. That's good. If you know how to clone and get rid of the lights in the background, I don't think they add to the photo. That's if you know how to do that. If you don't, that's okay. This is a place, if you can, I would go back to, if you have a tripod and you can lower your ISO and then shoot this, compose the camera the way you want. It's just the color noise in the sky. It's just noisy and grainy feeling, and that distracts from it a little bit. But it is a scene worth going back and trying again. And it's nice to recognize that.
Yeah, these. I agree. These things up there might be stars for all I know, but I agree. This was a matter of camera settings because the sky, you notice the sky is full of, if I enlarge it, it's all dots, red, green, and blue dots. That's what we call color noise when you have a picture taken in the dark like that. And there is a way to get rid of it, but I agree. This was a difficult one at night. Yeah. Oh, so this was up at, oh, so this was, yeah.
In that case, convert it to black and white, and then it just looks like film grain, and you might improve the photo. I'm not saying, it's a possibility.
On this, let's see, color noise. No, there's just a lot of, yeah, 64,000 is,
That's really pushing it.
That's real. Yeah. You're lucky you get any. Yeah. I'm amazed you got this. It's, that is hard. But then as we say though, when we teach this stuff too, is if you're almost in pitch black and, 64 ISO, yeah, 64,000 ISO, there's a lot of noise and everything, but it's a choice of this or no picture. There's nothing. So sometimes you get this, and as Bill says, you try converting then to black and white, you up the contrast, you do, you use some other tricks too. Yeah, but it's better than no picture. Hey, Marge?
This is entitled No Swimming by Tim Karash, 18 points. And Jackie says, the photo is visually striking because of its abstract quality, shadows, grooves, and lines, which create a sense of mystery. It feels both ancient and tactile, drawing me to wonder about its origins and meaning. I think your black and white processing was a good decision. It really strips away distractions and makes this all about form and texture. The pattern and repetition gives this a nice flow. I find the softer out of focus area in the foreground a little distracting. I think you really nailed the dramatic use of light and shadow, excellent texture rendering, and compelling abstract quality.
You can go ahead with the score.
And this is entitled Organized Chaos by Tim Crash, 20 points.
I had this one, and beautifully done. It's just, there's symmetry here. It's well exposed, technically well done. I couldn't really think of, I tried playing with the crop, but this is fine as is. So I really don't have anything to, I just thought it was a very well done, well recognized picture.
And this is entitled Plantation by Kay Eiler, 23 points, honorable mention.
Okay, this is a very cool vehicle, and the colors really make this pop. But the photo's a little busy, and I'm not quite sure what you want me to look at. So maybe isolate a few of the parts of the car and make it more graphic to improve it. One other thing, if you want to include this much of the car, if you lowered your perspective a little bit, you would probably eliminate that yellow car in the background. And yellow is a color that we all look at, and that's a little distracting. So change your perspective and get rid of the yellow car, and maybe consider isolating on some of the dials and things just to show it as a more graphic photo.
And this is entitled Polisher's Nightmare by David Williams, 21 points. Okay, Jackie says, your capture evokes stories of those once locked behind the bars. Human absence makes the viewer more aware of past presence. The chain and lock emphasize finality and reinforce themes of restriction and lost freedom. Your repletion here and the dangling chain leads to a very strong composition. The chain is positioned to break that symmetry, really making us pause there, which is ideally set up to hit those thirds. You made a great choice in keeping this tight. I have photographed at the reformatory many times. I usually compose to show the whole row of cells, top to bottom. What you did here is really exaggerate that claustrophobic sense that I am sure the prisoners felt. This is very impactful and thought-provoking. To improve, you might want to explore pushing the contrast a bit more. It might bring out a bit more of those textures.
What is your feeling on cropping on this? Would you crop any more on the, would you isolate those three in the middle? Or you think it's fine like this? Or would you bring, I was playing with, it just seemed there was some, I don't know. With cropping, you'll go back and forth and you'll say, no, I like it better the first way too. So when you do these kind of editing things too, it's all non-destructive. So you could just go back and forth. Okay.
Okay, this is entitled Prisoner of Time by Melissa Fargo, 20 points.
This one, again, this is Marge's area, but here's one where you do well if you're able to. What kept bothering me was this rose sticking out and back. It just once you see it again, it just takes away from that. And also, this is just, it's busy in the back. You could do that by making the back a little bit blurrier. So I played with this and to see what could we do to actually help. And I did one of two things. I did, let's see. It's just thinking, okay. And okay, I just tried darkening my background a little. And then I tried also just blurring the background a little bit more. Okay, it's just analyzing it here for a second. Bring that all the way down. And let me just, where's my blur brush? Let me blur that rose. And now, you know, again, same thing. I've darkened the background a little and I have blurred it a little more. And now this kind of just jumps out at us a little bit more. There's our before, which is kind of busy. And there.
Try going down on the highlights and up on the shadows on the
Okay, in other
flower.
words, it's bright. The sun was up here and it's more bright up there. So if we were to just bring down the, let me see.
It looks like this picture was taken in the middle of the afternoon, would be my guess, or
Yes.
late morning. And that's absolutely the worst time of day to take pictures of flowers because of all the shadows and the too much brightness. So if you have to take pictures in the middle of the afternoon, if you have somebody
There.
with you, have them hold a diffuser over the flower to block the sun. And then you won't get all those harsh shadows.
But there we go, just with decreasing the highlights ourselves. So sometimes there is if that's what you get, if that's your original, or if that's your original with the flower sticking, the rose in back and it's kind of real busy, you're able to really sometimes do a lot to get it the way you saw it.
Okay, and this is entitled Roses Are by Kimberly Christopher, 19 points.
This one's easy. Great shot, nice texture, great choice of black and white. The only thing I would do to improve this is either recompose to eliminate the dark patch in the upper left or crop it out. After that, this is a great job. Nice job.
And I didn't realize, by the way, until just now, that when I looked at these originally and the title, I thought it was a flower. It looks like, and still looks to me like a flower, but when you read the title, it's something different. Okay, Mark.
And this is I think it's
A sea
anemone.
anemone.
Sea anemone, is that the right?
Sea anemone, yes.
Anemone, whatever. Sorry. By Denise Owesny Richardson, 23 points, honorable mention. Anemone. Anemone.
It's yours, Marge.
And Jackie says, I would describe this as serene, dramatic, and elegant. The reflection and pose give it an artistic quality, almost painterly. The centered composition works well here as the bird and its reflection create a vertical flow that keeps the eye moving through the frame. The downward curve of the bird's neck adds an elegant shape. The head and beak could be a touch sharper compared to the body. Since the eye naturally goes to the bird's face, a bit more clarity there would make the photo stronger. Perhaps slightly reducing exposure or pulling back highlights in editing could preserve more feather texture. The left side of the bird is pretty bright, and it appears some texture is absent in that area. I like your choice of shutter speed and find the ripples in the water pleasant.
Wow, I really love this one. Looks good to me. Okay, you want to read that?
Okay, the title is Self-Reflection by Denise Owesny Richardson, 26 points, first place.
There you go. Beautiful picture. I had this one, and very, very nicely done. This is a nice time exposure of the little waterfall here coming down and the water just going in its little whirlpool effect. Again, I really like this. This is a tough one in terms of, I tried cropping just a little bit because the waterfall is up here. This is the whirlpool is set a little bit off to the left. I didn't want to cut off too much. I was trying to just make it, oops, not to cut off any of the whirlpool, but just to take out the extraneous stuff. But, that's nitpicking kind of things. I thought this was technically just very well done and really well spotted. So I like this.
Okay, and this is entitled Stephen 1 by Stephen Page, 24 points, third place.
Very nice.
This is a nice forest scene. Good choice of shutter speeds. You've maintained texture in the whites and the rapids. That's a good thing. The rock on the lower right, it is bright and yellowish and draws the eye because yellow, that's the only yellow in the scene, and yellow is such a powerful color. So you need to tone that rock down somehow or crop it out. When you shoot a scene like this, just be aware of distractions like that. See, that right there is a huge improvement. Just be aware of distractions like this, especially on the edge of a photograph, because they draw your eye. And if you can, try to crop them out and compose the picture you want in the camera.
And just by the thing, you notice this big rock here, it's not up by the, they've given it room to breathe there. So it's just, you get the sense of the whole rock. So, very, very nicely done.
Okay, this is Stephen 3 by Stephen Page, 24 points, third place.
Is that yours, Bill?
Yeah. And Jackie says, what a cheerful,
Jackie. Okay.
what a cheerful delight this is. Definitely made me chuckle and smile. So whimsical, and this eye, totally comical. The circular opening frames the bird's head perfectly, acting like a natural vignette. It draws the viewer's eyes right to the subject. Softer lighting, either by waiting for diffused light, like overcast weather, or using a fill light, would make the tones more balanced. Desaturating the painted flowers on the house might help to keep the viewer's eyes locked into the subject. But this is a real winner of a character here.
But notice now, once we tell you this too, look at your eyes are drawn to the white, that white on both sides. It just is, and that's part of the thing, just getting rid of that. Yeah, you want everything distracting from your main subject out.
And come up from the bottom just a touch to get rid of those little mounds of pink.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go. And now just to the eye, just more more symmetric, more, you know, your eyes just go right to the subject there.
Okay, this is Steve Spencer 2 by Steven Spencer.
Doesn't look like it.
23 points, honorable mention.
Very. Okay, I had this one. I went back and forth about this. One, it's a little bit bright. That's just so let me come down on, you notice, and again, this is not a camera setting, exposed perfectly for the face, but notice the white down here is, so I'll just come down on the highlights a little. Now, distracting elements. If you have time, like you're in a studio, you have to think about them and remove them. If not, take care of them later. But look at this little bit of whatever it is on the left of orange. It just is distracting. It just doesn't need to be there. And that's an easy one. Well, one, you could just move this if you see it. I mean, once you start thinking about these things, you'll start to move it. And, you know, they're just, you know, minor things, but that's a little distracting element that we get in more. I'm not that bothered by the legs being cut off or whatnot, because they're cut off, I think, at the right spot. The head is in the upper third there, and the rule of thirds. The first time, too, it was interesting. I got rid of the bubble. The blue there, I say, you know, kind of get rid of distracting things. But I see bubbles back here, and I actually think that, you know, makes the picture too. But that's an artistic decision. So I left that in. But I think the gaze off to the side there, the little bubble, you know, I think this was well done.
Okay, this is Steve Spencer 3 by Steven Spencer, 20 points.
Good exposure and choice of shutter speed with this. You've taken something most people would walk by and not photograph, and you've made something interesting out of this. I give you credit for that. Good eye. I wouldn't do much of the cropping. It's a kind of an environmental shot showing this fountain in its environment. The green coming down kind of leads you to the fountain. The rock in the lower left kind of anchors it. Nitpicky, eliminate the green on the right side of the tree. That's just a simple crop to come in.
I want you to know, to see these same things, because as we take more pictures, I was thinking I was going to add what Bill just said. So, yeah, Bill, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Yeah, just you know, again,
Yes.
you get to
Notice that up
choose what's
here.
in your photograph.
Right.
Eliminate
Little
that.
thing like that.
And the only other thing I would do with this, if you can, tone down the hot spots on the tree, on the lower part of the tree, because
You
it's
mean the green?
competing
Oh, they're
with
down here?
those right there.
Down there,
If you
let
can
me-
burn those in, clone,
me
or do
try to-
something to subdue that, that would improve the photo and let your eyes, you know, take in that graceful arc of the fountain, because now you're eliminating things that are the same tonal value.
See if I could. Again, all these things draw your eye more towards the center. But I agree, very nice. But that little bit of, when you start to look for symmetry, and again, just as Bill said, let me get back to the original here. You'll notice now this tree is fine. We have the whole tree, but we have this little bit more outside the tree. Do we really need that? It just kind of looks funny. You crop in that little bit, it's all different there.
I remember when I was learning to edit, the teacher said, always do a border patrol. In other words, run your eyes all the way around
Yep.
all the edges of your picture and look for things that are distracting, or like little, you know, sticks sticking out of nowhere, or things that you can eliminate that will remove distractions from your photo. Okay, and this is entitled Take a Load Off by Jeannie Hill, 21 points. Okay, Jackie says, interesting architectural shot that captures the grandeur of the building and integrates it into its natural setting. The lighting and clarity are excellent, making it easy to appreciate the details of the structure. Perhaps with a slightly tighter composition and cleaner foreground, it could feel even more majestic and less busy. You have a lovely blue sky with a nice fill of wispy clouds. I do find the contrail distracting. That could be removed pretty easily in Lightroom or Photoshop. Another adjustment you might consider is increasing the warmth and adding a tad more brightness on the building. It might bring out more of those golden tones in the brick and stonework and make the building a little more dominant.
Geez, keeping me busy here. Let me just. And what else I think that was.
She said a slightly tighter composition and to make a cleaner foreground.
Oh, cleaner foreground. Yeah, that's hard. It's busy, but it is what it is there.
Removing,
But what you were saying about the contrail is, again, that's an artistic thing. You might find that looks fine too, but if not, these things are easy to do whatever you want to do.
Okay, the title of this is Take Me to Church by Gloria Mercado, 20 points.
Okay, I like this one. As I looked at it, though, carefully, a number of things. This is a nice study in symmetry, but the only thing that kept throwing it off to me, and this is, again, just my opinion, is the trees down here. And so what I tried to play with is keeping the symmetry, but just cropping it up so I'm off those trees. So now it's a study in symmetry, but now I have the girders or the concrete and the sky. Two things, period. And that just simplifies the picture and really gets it. So sometimes, again, and then you could also experiment with, although I didn't think I liked it better this way, you could also experiment black and white and bring your contrast way up. And you could try, you can go back and forth between black and white and whoops, there we go, between black and white and the other, and just experiment. But the thing is, the maker of this picture recognized a good picture. They recognized that there was something here. So this was good. That's the first step. The other thing, when you get back, nothing I could do this. At the time, it would have been difficult because you can't cut this out. If you move the camera up, you get more of things you don't want. So this is an easy one. Just afterwards is just bring that up. And we have that. So I think it was an excellent recognition and technically well done. And that was just a bit of cropping afterwards.
And this is entitled Under the Bridge by Ann Williams, 20 points.
This is a nice, simple photo. The green against the black is bold, has a lot of impact, kind of reminds me of Edward Weston, if you're familiar with him and his shots of peppers a long time ago. You're right on the edge of blowing the highlights, but there's still some detail there. So nice job with that. One little thing to improve this, you have great separation with the background, except at the bottom of the photo. So this looks like you artificially lit it. That means you're totally in charge of everything. Make sure you light your subject fully so you get that separation. But this is a good picture. Very nice job.
Okay, and the title of this is Warmth by Jeannie Hill, 24 points, third place.
think this is yours, or? We wanted me to remove the distracting tiger in this picture? So it doesn't distract from the dandelion? No.
All right.
Yeah.
Jackie says, this image is both powerful and tender. The young leopard's relaxed pose and curious gaze, paired with a single yellow flower, creates an almost storybook moment. Your focus and the clarity of those gorgeous eyes and long whiskers are spot on. This is getting nitpicky, but some of the leopard's darker fur spots are nearly blending into shadow. Slightly lifting the shadows in post-processing could recover more texture without losing contrast. The dandelion adds a nice element to your story. I would play that up a bit to give it more visual importance. Just add a bit more vibrance to the flower in editing to emphasize the contrast between predator and delicate bloom. You might consider burning the foreground a bit. Some of the grass is a bit hot and grabs your attention. It's really a darling capture.
It is, and it's important to note when we're talking about nitpicking too, this picture is beautiful. So we're talking about these things. These are just small things. She was talking about burning in some of the grass here, so it wasn't so light. She was talking about on the flower, she was just saying, make that the saturation a little more. Where did it go? Let's, and these are minor things there. This is our before, afterwards. Beautiful, beautiful picture.
Okay, I don't want to be one of these people that's going to comment on every photo because we're going to be here all night.
Please.
But this, and I mean, you've heard a lot of us talk about cropping. I just want to have Richard crop this the way I want to show you what the drama and the difference is. We're going to eliminate everything except what's essential. Crop in from that side all the way,
the right side?
all the way to the whiskers, all the way.
This whisker
Just
here?
a little bit right there. Crop from the top and get rid of that leg. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Crop from the bottom and get rid of that. Keep going there. And then you burn down those little few strands of grass on the bottom.
Wow.
And look what a dramatic
Yeah,
photo
it
you now
makes
have.
makes a totally different photo.
This is where editing comes in and vision. I would not have seen that at all or thought of that. But now that I look at it this way, let me burn that.
As a
bottom.
photographer, you are giving me no place to look except for the cat and that flower and the interaction that we in our minds,
Wow.
the cat may be ignoring that flower. That could be incidental. But in our minds, there's an interaction between the two, and you've eliminated everything to make us look at it that way. And I think this is a powerful photo.
I would not have thought of that. You're right. This is beautiful.
And the title is A Roll in the Grass by Melissa Fargo, 25 points, second place.
Very nice. I struggled with this one again. And I struggled with this one because I am not, again, we don't have a title when we look at these, or when this is up on a wall, there's no title. So I was fascinated, but I wasn't sure what the event was. And I looked at this a long time. And I think that in a shot like this, which is not self-explanatory, you don't need an explanation about the leopard or whatnot. You kind of know what that is. But in this, you kind of like to have something in here that let you know what you were looking at. I think technically it's done well. The people, even though it's busy, you have something going on down here, but you have a ring of people. This person on the left comprises part of the ring. It goes around. You have things here, heads down here, and right. So I have a ring of people, a referee. I have an action event going on down here. So to me, this is, it's a bit busy, but I just wasn't sure what I was looking at.
And the title is A Wet Struggle by Todd Irvin, 19 points.
Todd, is Todd here? Oh my gosh. I was waiting till tonight to find out what I was looking at. I am. Could I crop down to the guy in whatever that is? Yeah, see, that's the thing, is I didn't want to get rid of the crowd. So you're talking cropping down? Yeah.
Blow it up so that everybody can see what the guy's doing.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was trying to. He's grabbing his legs. It's like, but I'm not sure. There's nothing else in there unless there's a. Oh, you think that's not his legs? Oh, see, that's where it's not self. I thought he was grabbing his legs like when you do a pike in a diving thing or whatnot. And so he was, but you're right. That might be someone else's legs that's under there.
You drowning somebody?
I never thought of that as being a second person. That's okay. Okay, Marge, did you give us the answer ready?
I think I did. A Wet Struggle by Todd Irvin,
yes.
19 points.
Okay.
Wow.
This is an excellent night scene. I really like this. It works very well in black and white, and I suspect if it was in color, the color might actually get in the way. I like the panoramic feel. Some might criticize it for being a little bit centered, but I think you need that to maintain the symmetry of the lights. This is nitpicky. To improve this, maybe tone down the reflections or burn them down if you know how. The reflections on the street just a bit. Otherwise, very nice job.
Okay, this is entitled Canal Fulton at Night by Denise Owesny Richardson, 26 points, first place.
Very nice.
Okay, Jackie says, you've captured the squirrel in a candid moment, actively nibbling on leaves. This adds life and storytelling value compared to a static pose. The diagonal framing and tail coloration give it artistic appeal, but I find the diagonal branches also adds a bit of distraction to the image and to your subject. They almost carry more weight to your composition. You might consider cropping that left side into the big tree trunk. I think it would visually make your subject much stronger. It would bring the subject's face closer, the subject's face closer to the rule of thirds point, making it feel more dynamic and also eliminate the brighter empty space. The background is pleasantly soft, helping the subject pop against the tree trunk without being too distracting. I think your camera grabbed a focus on this front little leaves. It is nice having the foreground in focus, but since you were shooting more wide open, the sharp focus fell off just before the squirrel's face. It's still in focus, but not tack sharp like we would want the subject and the critter's eyes to be. Nice job with your shutter speed, which was fast enough to eliminate motion blur.
What we're talking about is that raw material is when you got there, it's a great capture, got the squirrel. You can't do anything about that branch, but it's a nice diagonal there. It's going diagonal the other way. But just like that deer picture, there's nothing you could do to move the branch or anything else. This is what you get. You got a good capture. So after what we could do is just isolate him. And that's what, talking about doing there. And at least now, and you could always remove that branch in the bottom left. But it's like raw material. If you're doing studio work, then you get everything right the first time because you can go in, change the lighting, move things around, take things out that are distracting, and get it the way you want before you take the picture. When you're out doing the animals, the deer, people like that, you have no control over some of that. So you can take care of that afterwards.
Okay, this is entitled Squirrel Photo by Daniel Conrad, 19 points.
This this is very nice. Now, here's an example where editing helps because the camera did nothing wrong. Your exposure is fine, but you had darks in the back. You had bright sunlight on the person. Camera has to pick one opening, so it tries to get a bit of everything, and he's a little too light, and that's light enough. It's also busy. There is a lot of just stuff going on in the background and all over. So I looked at this because the subject matter is great. So really, in terms of how to make up for the deficiencies of the camera, one of the things I looked at first is to maybe just where he is overly bright, just to bring those areas down. And I'm just doing this real quickly and make adjustments. So his face, I'm just bringing back some of that detail that was in his face. So here it is before and after. And then maybe in the shadows in the background, rather than to make the picture less busy, I also thought the opposite. Let's make the shadows more. So by increasing them, it makes it less busy. It takes away some of that background. So between making his exposure a little better and getting rid of some of the background noise, here is our before and afterwards, just little adjustments. Again, it's a difficult picture because it is so busy and there is such a contrast between, very, very bright things and very dark things. But those are things that I consider on this.
Okay, and this is entitled Dave with Wheel by Ann Williams, 20 points.
This is a humorous capture. One can almost imagine this poor duck sitting on an egg 3 times its size. That's kind of the impression you get. Technically, though, it needs some work. The flare ghosting that's on the right is really distracting. I don't know if the sun was hitting the lens or what's caused that, but I don't know if you could have moved and eliminated that. I would have tried. The reflection of the duck. We've talked about cropping a lot. And here's the guideline I go by. I do a lot of people photography, and a lot of times I'll crop deep into the top of a person's head. But I don't crop a ½ inch into their head. If something is cropped and looks like it was an accident, that's going to look like an accident. So you either need in this all the reflection of the duck or no reflection of the duck. That would be the choices to go with. Other than that, it is a funny photo. It could use a little bit more contrast. I think Richard's working on that now. But, it's a funny photo. Nice to see it.
Yeah, you can see here bringing up the contrast a little too. That brings out the colors. And one of the things you could do, as Bill said, you can't do it that leaf or whatever it is on the right there too, but you could maybe make a little less of it. I'm not talking a lot, but just a little, anything that minimizes that.
And crop from the bottom and get rid of the reflection.
Get rid
just
of the
bring
reflection.
it right. Yes.
Yeah, just
Again,
right like
there you
that.
go.
Yeah, and now we've kind of made, and then you could also, if these little, let me make the heel brush. Just minor things. But again, you maybe not have had a choice, but afterwards, when you say, okay, I got this shot, what could I do with it? These are at least just some suggestions. And I think this is a whole different picture. If we go, before we change, you can see the picture's kind of flat here, the rocks, too light there. And just with a few little things there too, much different there as well.
This is entitled Duck by Kay Eiler, 19 points. Oh, no, this is a different one.
Yeah, this is actually. Oh, this is someone else who did oh yeah, there's this thing, the big
Yeah,
thing in the
now
middle.
it's got to be in the middle.
It's the same flower though.
Yeah, the little bug has got company.
Yeah, the bug has moved up, but this is the same. Interesting.
All right. Jackie says, capturing, excuse me, both the bee and the cucumber beetle on the same flower adds a sense of interaction and story. It feels like a moment in nature where two worlds briefly meet. They appear to be unfazed by the other's company. Cropping tighter, perhaps, just keeping the main flower and the one it's touching could reduce some of the visual competition and the blurred blossoms below, making the bee and the beetle interaction even stronger. The flower has a few nibbled, damaged edges, which is natural but slightly distracting. In post-processing, you could either embrace this as part of the natural scene or lightly retouch to smooth them. Your image has a beautiful color palette and story. Watch your focus. Your background is pleasantly blurred, but your image could be improved with a sharper focus on the bee and the beetle. You can achieve this by either adjusting focus depth or taking multiple shots at varied focal points and merging them together in post-processing. The photo stacking is a more advanced concept, but there are many mirrorless digital cameras that have a focus stacking feature. Could be fun to play with if your camera does offer that unique possibility.
Okay, and see, all we've done is that same crop down below to get rid of those distracting things, and we regenerated the flower like last time.
Okay, this is entitled Flower Power by Kimberly Christopher, 18 points.
I thought this was a real nice picture, and this gives you an example of what we call the blue hour, that hour just after sunset, before it's actually dark or black, that it actually has that bluish effect. I really like this, and they cropped it purposely for this little slight panorama, which I think is nice. Notice this on the right here, it's not cut off. We still see the whole thing. The only thing to nitpick, again, is and I don't know how I feel about this, but the mountain comes up here. I mean, here's my focal point, what I'm looking at right here, the mountain in the middle. This one here, it just peaks and then starts to go down. And so I was experimenting. We don't see the whole mountain. What if I just came to the peak there? In a sense that just doesn't take my eye over there. And one of the thing is, let me see if I just, and again, this is just me experimenting. And actually, after all of this too, I go back and I could actually say that this is beautiful as it is. So sometimes we do these just to see if something looks better, but we find that our original thing is looking fine. But I think this blue hour picture with the blue on the water and blue in the sky is just very, very nice.
The title is Mount Cook at Dawn by Melanie Thompson, 22 points, honorable mention.
This is an interesting night scene, and I do like the colors in this, but I find it very busy. I don't think you need everything on the right, so I would eliminate those lights over on the right. Come right into a little right there. Again, now your eye it's framed by the dark tree and the dark tower. The lit grasses and branch in the front are a little distracting. If you know how to eliminate or darken those, I would do that.
Do you mean the bottom left?
Yeah, bottom left and
Bottom
that
left.
tree branch coming in from the left are a little distracting. It's easy for me to say, move a little bit and change your location to eliminate those, but I don't know if that's going to put you waist deep in water if you can move and eliminate distractions, that's the way to do it.
And again, even though these are minor things, you see, as Bill said, these little bit of crops, that little bit of just darkening the bottom left. I'll just get rid of, let's see if it does this. These kind of things. Now your eye is going more towards the middle and everything there. So I think, yeah, these sometimes these small things make a big difference. Here's our original. Okay, Mark.
Okay, the title of this is September Baseball by Tim Karash, 19 points.
I think it's a different crop or a different, what Jackie has this.
So Jackie says, this is a wonderful, wonderful waterfall and long exposure photo. The silky smooth waterfall and swirling motion in the foreground pool are excellent. The circular whirlpool of leaves is especially striking, adding motion and energy to the composition. Perhaps play that up with some minor adjustments in Lightroom or Photoshop. I would try a subtle brightening or contrast adjustment in this location. You rendered this scene very naturally, which is lovely, but you might consider pulling out some of the shadows in those darkest rocks. It could reveal a bit more texture and depth. You really accomplished a lot in this capture. You can tell it was well thought out. It looks like you may have even used a polarizer. If so, it really helped to see through the water and see those beautifully warm colored rocks. One additional suggestion would be to have splashed some water on that big flat rock in the middle left. Of course, only try if it's safe. But that rock is a bit bright and lacks the impact that wet rocks offer. Okay, and this is entitled Stephen 2 by Stephen Page, 22 points, honorable mention.
Okay, I had this, and it's very interesting. Very bright areas here. I don't know if I could have done anything about that. And I come down a little on that, but what can concern me more, I like this, but it's a little close cropped. As I looked at this, it's close to the edge on the right. And what I wanted to try was just to see how it would look if I gave it a bit more room on most of the other side. So let's, and you could see there now, that's a bit more pleasing to the eye. I mean, now, oops, let me bring it down. Yeah, the other one, the edges were right up to it. And now it just sits more in the middle. A lot of colors on top, but this white area there was not much there, and there's a lot of dark here. So I like what you were going for. This was a very difficult one. So those are my only suggestions on that.
The title is Steuben Apple by Gail Graves, 21 points.
This is that was the original. Okay.
I really like the ghostly feel of this photo. I don't think you need as much there. I'm partial to squares. I have a bias, I admit that. I would crop this in from the right and left and make this a square. By doing that, you leave the road slightly off-centered, and it leads you into the center of the photo. And then I would also play with my contrast and blacks. I would clip the blacks in this to make really give this a deep black. And notice how you now have a ghostly, but also a brooding effect to this. And there we go. That's basically where I would go with this. Nice capture. Good job seeing it. There's a lot of different things you could do with this. This is just one of my suggestions.
This is entitled Steve Spencer 1 by Steven Spencer, 22 points, honorable mention. Jackie says, the red strawberry against the bright blue dish is striking and visually appealing. The complementary contrast makes the fruit pop immediately. The simplicity of the setup, being one fruit, one base, makes it feel clean and intentional. I see some pleats from what appears to be curtains in the background. It makes a great backdrop, but I suggest softening it with a bit of Gaussian blur in Photoshop or darken that area. It adds a small distraction to your very minimal looking still life. I would also suggest a slightly tighter crop or lower camera angle that could have let the strawberry feel more like the hero subject rather than competing with the base. It's hard to compose just two objects like this and create an interesting scene. You often work with odd numbers, which is visually more appealing, but here I think the maker did a great job making this minimal composition work well.
And there we just gave it that little more blur in the background that she was talking about.
Okay, and the title is Sweet Life by Jeannie Hill, 24 points, third place.
Very nice. Okay, I had this one. I like this one. It gives me also a chance to nitpick when I can't buy anything big. It's a beautiful capture. The reds are complementary to the greens. I love this soft background, those trees, the crop. You notice they picked a panoramic crop, got rid of a lot of the sky. You just have the trees there. And really, the only thing, and again, this is just a problem with the camera, it's a weakness of the camera. It only has to take one exposure. Everything is perfectly exposed, but we have it a little light up front, but that's easy to take care of with in post-processing. And you notice what I've done is now there was green grass down there that before it was just whited out, and now we could see that. You just play with that a little. I looked in terms of crop here. I really like the way they have the crop. I don't know if it's that much more you could do. I think this is a really nice picture. There's, like I said, nitpicking, but otherwise it's a beautiful picture.
And the title is That Feeling by Gloria Mercado, 22 points, honorable mention.
I really like the simple brooding shots like this. I mean, I've mentioned it a couple of times before. And the misty feel, the colors, the composition, all are great. That rock next to the waves, you
Which one?
cannot help but go to that.
Which rock? No, what were you saying?
The one below the tree, black, right
this
there.
one there.
How
Oh,
can
no,
you
'cause I
ask
said,
what
oh,
rock?
I thought maybe that was a rock down
No,
there. Okay.
no. The
No, I
rock
wasn't being
next
funny.
to the waves, I said.
Well, all you have to
You
do
know,
is,
and I say this again, if well, this is a beginner's competition. If you know how to remove something like that, this is obviously a more stark and a better photograph. Now, I'm going to add something. Richard's been doing a lot of things that he hasn't explained how he's doing it. Don't feel frustrated by that if you don't know how to do that. I don't want anybody leaving here frustrated. He's doing things. Strive to learn what he's doing. Don't be frustrated because you don't know how. This is a nice photo. Good job.
and if you
But
can't,
you could take the Lightroom or Photoshop class and learn how to do all these things.
And if none of that works, in looking at that rock that's only about 60 pounds, if there are two of you, you could have moved it. Well, but again, as we look at these things, I agree with Bill completely. Once you see the rock, you can't unsee it there. This picture is perfect in simplicity. There you just,
That nice little line of waves leads your eye right to the tree, but when the rock is there, it stops right at the rock, like you bumped right into it.
I know. No rocks were harmed in this editing.
The title is The Giving Tree by Maria Perme, 25 points, second place.
Very nice.
Okay. Jackie says, this is a tricky one for me. As many of you are wetting your feet in photography competitions, I am kind of wetting my feet in judging competitions. The reason I find this tricky is I'm not real sure what I'm looking at. I see this as an excellent example of finding abstract art in mechanical design. The etched chrome surface and light interplay create a photo that feels like both engineering and fine art. While the main subject is strong, some of the background reflections and blurred objects, like the hand and surrounding chrome, can distract from the intricate pattern. A slightly different angle or selective darkening and editing could keep focus on the etched design. I do find this interesting and have looked and studied this for a while. I still don't know exactly what the subject is, but that's not always important. The important thing is, does it grab one's attention and demand some time to study and appreciate your vision? And the title is Vintage Cadillac Mirror by David Williams, 20 points.
Here I saw this. Okay. Lemonade. I've had judges, I've submitted a picture like this. The judges said, well, you should have turned the moose more to this way, or you should have done this, or made his foot over it. Come on. As Bill said too, you get what you get. You're this close to a moose, or if it's a telephoto, it's a beautiful capture. The moose is looking like that. You got this one shot. So basically that's it, too. So beautiful capture. Again, now, composition-wise, well, we're missing the back half of the moose. The head is up here. We've cut off the foot. So what could we do? Make lemons out of lemonade. You don't want, no, it's the other way around. To make the lemonade. And looking at this, what I experimented with, I said, let's try the cropping again. As Bill talked about on one of the other pictures too, let's get down to just the essential things. So in this case, I tried coming in from there, let's go right for the, in some way, bring us to the moose in the center. And just come around. And it was a little dark in here on that side, but again, let me just bring up the shadows a little. Okay. So in this case now you have a balanced picture. The head's in the middle. You don't have like 2/3 of the moose, but just missing a third, which is kind of awkward. This is more of an intentional crop where we have just the top of body and head, and the head is in the center now, looking right at us. And I just think that's a much better composition. And I would, even though the naturalist would kill me, is since our eyes are drawn to that little thing, that's part of the moose there, that spot, but I would get that. Our eyes are always drawn to that. Just get rid of that. Get rid of these little white things down here. And that's just that over there. And small things, even down here, this one leaf just sticks at the edge. And now you've got, and over here on the left, just a little bright. And I think what you've got now is you've made lemonade out of lemons. You had the only shot you could get of the moose, which is a really nice capture. They are hard to get a shot of. You couldn't pose it or anything too, but now by cropping, you've got it down to, I really like that. So,
Can you open
Yeah.
up the shadows a little bit around the moose's eye?
okay, here is what we, let me see. Here's what we did. I'll do it selectively more. So you see, that was before I opened up shadows. If you want the shadows opened up a little more around the eye itself, you mean it right? Let me just do the eye and open up the shadows. So here
I
is
don't know if
opening up
that'll
the
make it
shadows a
better
little
or
bit.
worse.
Huh?
I don't know if that will help or make it.
Yeah, it makes it look a little too.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
But again, sometimes you try, you go back and forth. You might like the original picture too. So, but this is a suggestion as I looked at this. So I really like this one now too, is we go back to the original again. And that might be fine as well, but it just looked a little awkward. I was just missing his rear end and back feet. So that was my suggestion there. Nice capture. Again, these are not animals. Is the person who took this here? Yeah. What lens were you? Was it a real big telephoto or were you up closer? A 600. Yeah. These are not easy animals to be close to at all. So this is a 600 millimeter lens. So you're really limited. It's really tack sharp and everything too. So I think excellent capture. And again, it's a matter then of just, getting, is it a fixed or a zoom? It's a zoom? Yeah, okay, 150 to 600 then as well. So yeah, this is a very good.
And the title is When Paths Cross by Angela McMahon, 20 points.
This photo has an old photo feel to it, as if the colors have shifted with time. And I kind of like it for this presentation. It's an interesting tree, and it's almost if time has caught up with the tree, the way it's, leaned over like that, still rooted, still leaves, but, it's time is coming, you get the feel. I do like the presentation. I would color down the flower, tone down the tone down the flowers in the foreground a little bit. I think it may be just a touch too blue, just a little bit. And I'd like to see a little bit more contrast, but this is an interesting tree and it's an interesting way of presenting it.
Yeah, this is, let me see. You're right. It does have that old, like where the red dye is faded and you're left with this cyan. Let me see. Do we have, no. Yeah, it's a hard color to adjust. Nope. Very nice. Go ahead, Marge.
I'm not sure if I'm reading the title correctly. It looks like there might be a misspelling here, but I believe it's Wickedly Wispy Tree, California Coast by Joseph Yatsko, 19 points.
Good. And that concludes our images. We're trying something different tonight. I hope you liked it, being able, rather than just read the comments, to show some of these things. And again, these scores, they were based on the original picture. Some of these, again, after cropping or working on them, are a whole different picture too. So don't be discouraged at all. I think the key thing is in the recognizing, what's a good image. The post-processing is just a little stuff afterwards too. So yeah, anytime we could help, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much.